Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the race for the White House heats up, but who will emerge victorious between U.S. President Donald Trump and Joe Biden? And under whose leadership will Philippine-US relations flourish? 4 more years of Trump or a fresh leadership under Biden? Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, joins us live. And later, after snubbing a Senate probe on military officials' alleged red tagging spree, what does the Makabayan bloc plan to do next? Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Duterte tells us more live. The Filipino-American community is taking an active role in the U.S. elections. After all, whoever gets to sit in the White House will chart the course of Philippine-U.S. relations. Latest data show almost 2 million Filipino-Americans are eligible to vote. Meantime, Malacanang is confident of continued cordial relations between the Philippines and the U.S., whoever ends up in the White House. Let's go straight to the source of the story from Washington, D.C. Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Romualdez. Ambassador, good to have you again and welcome to the source.
Thank you, Pinky. Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. What such exciting times there in the United States and even around the world. So many people are really closely watching this election in the U.S. I wanted to ask you, did you think it was going to be this close?
Well, if you were going to believe what the media was saying here, they said it was all going towards the Democratic Party candidate, former Vice President Biden. But we have our own way of monitoring this, and we felt that it was going to be a very close fight between President Trump and Vice President Biden. And but of course, we were all surprised that it is very close. Actually, it's like a razor thin type of situation. So it's still touch and go, and I don't think we're going to be able to find out the winner soon. But I guess by the end of this week, Friday, we should be able to get the clear indication of who will be the next president of the United States.
Yeah, that's still pretty soon. But there may be a problem here because Mr. Trump is actually claiming massive cheating. Would this in any way affect the credibility of the election process over there?
Well, I think many members of his party are already saying that they don't agree with President Trump's accusation that there was massive cheating. There could be indications of that in areas where the mailed-in votes. This is what President Trump was saying from the very beginning, that the mail-in votes, that there could be fraud could be committed by that one, and that's why he has sent out his lawyers to contest some of the election returns coming from areas like Philadelphia, and I think even in Georgia and some other parts. But Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania is what they're really looking at because it's so close. That's where the so-called accusation of cheating could possibly take place. So that's the one that might hold, to a certain extent, the elections, the results of the elections, because of the civil suits that they're going to, or they're planning to file in the courts here.
Can you imagine, when this all started, a lot also were looking at the votes in Pennsylvania. And if I'm not mistaken, at least when I saw it about maybe 24 to 36 hours ago, Mr. Trump's lead there was about 800,000. And now that has completely lessened or been reduced to, I don't know, is it latest? Is it like 30,000? And of course, even CNN International kept saying there's a big number of mail-in votes that had to be counted. And that's where Mr. Biden is closing that lead of Mr. Trump.
That's correct. And that's precisely why, in fact, President Trump just came out on television earlier today, about half an hour ago, and he was already spelling out where he thought that there was cheating or there was a fraud that was committed. So I think that's where, like I said, that's going to be where the problem will be, because President Trump is not accepting the results as was expected. So, and I guess it's because it's really so close that it can go either way. And remember what happened during the Bush-Gore elections. Florida was the deciding factor, and it had to be the Supreme Court that made the decision on who actually won. So we may have the same situation if it's really so close, which is the number of 260, 270, or 265, 270 in electoral votes is pretty close. So that's worrisome for the United States.
Right. So while we are all watching this and looking into really who will emerge victorious, I just really want to find out, in the end, how important really is this election, or whoever will win, in Philippine-US relations?
Well, for us, for the world, as a matter of fact, everybody's watching what will happen. As you know, President Trump changed a lot of the foreign policies of the United States. He canceled the TPP for the economic front. He questioned NATO, that's in Europe. And of course, in Asia, he has played a very significant role in the South China Sea. And of course, we're very happy, of course, that the Republican administration of President Trump recognized the arbitral win, which is very important for us. That makes it, of course, for us, an important factor why it was good for us that President Trump did this. No? And of course, he's confronting China on many issues like the trade, and of course, again, also the South China Sea is also another thing that would affect us, and the way he is also handling the North Korean the nuclear problem. So all of that, put in total, has disrupted more or less the normal way of how foreign policy was conducted by the United States. We don't know what the Biden administration will do, although we've had some discussions with some of their foreign policy advisors of the Democratic Party. And they said that for instance, the South China Sea, where they recognized that the Trump administration has clearly indicated that they recognize the arbitral win of the Philippines, will be maintained. So that's good in one way.
Okay. All right. Ambassador, we need to take a very short break. We still have a lot to discuss, rather. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today from Washington, D.C., Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez. So, Ambassador Romualdez, this is what also I wanted to understand and get a reaction from you. What would a Trump win mean to the Philippines, and what would a Biden victory mean to the Philippines?
Well, that's been asked many times before this election, but to me, quite honestly, there won't be much difference in one sense, that we have had very good relations with the United States all these years. Whoever is sitting at the White House, there are issues, of course, that have been thrown our way. And of course, we all know about the human rights issues that were thrown at us, even during this administration of President Trump. But we've maintained all the time that all these issues, you can advise us, you can inform us about it, but not to tell us on how we run our government. Now, well, let me be clear that we've already, of course, given enough information about all of these things that they're asking, so that it's not as if we just totally just throw it or put it under the rug and just not mention and not even discuss it. We've discussed this with some U.S. senators, especially from the Democratic Party. So, but we've had good relations with this country, any administration, Democrat or a Republican. As a matter of fact, I can rightfully say that during the time of Ambassador Del Rosario, he was very effective when he was here in Washington, D.C., because about a couple of months ago, before the pandemic, there was a dinner where I saw former Secretary John Kerry, and he specifically sought me out to tell me that he would like to say hello to Ambassador Del Rosario, whom I thought did a good job here in the United States as our ambassador.
Which Trump foreign policy that benefited the Philippines, you hope Biden will continue if Mr. Biden wins?
Yes, we certainly are looking at that. Remember, President Trump has started the policy of having their allies not be too dependent on the United States and start to move towards being able to defend themselves. So in the past 5 years, or even there's never been so much military assistance programs that have been offered by the United States to many of its allies, specifically the Philippines and Japan and many others, including Vietnam and others. So you can see that this policy has shown that the United States is now looking at having less and less of a role of being the policeman of the world. Now, the Democrats are known, of course, for many of the things, their foreign policy, but that again will change, because remember that the U.S. Congress, to a certain extent, plays a major role. The Foreign Relations Committee plays a major role in the relationship with the other countries. So most likely, I would say that there will be some changes, but not very significant. That's what we're hoping for, because we'd like to continue our program of being able to modernize our armed forces the way we see that we'll be able to be a real good partner of our ally, the United States, and other countries.
Do you think that President Rodrigo Duterte will have a good working relationship in case Mr. Biden becomes president?
Well, like I said, most heads of states usually, as I said, even President Duterte himself has said that he had never had any beef against the United States. He may have had some problems with the former President Obama, but I think with President Biden, I don't see any problem really in having a relationship. It may not be the best of friends, but they certainly will be able to have a good, cordial relationship if President Biden becomes the president of the United States.
Right. Okay. Ambassador, lastly, I wanted to ask you, is there such a thing as a Filipino vote over there in the U.S.?
I would think yes. We've had about 2 million voters here in the United States, Filipino Americans. We're 4.3 million. And as I can see in your video, you had, it was pretty much, I would say, divided. At least that's the way we saw it when we had conversations with many of the Filipino leaders here. Of course, in California, it's known to be a Democratic Party bailiwick. But here in the Northeast, in many parts, especially in the southern part, there are quite a number of strong Republican conservatives, Filipino-American conservatives. And I've always said that even some of my classmates from school in the past who live here in the United States, who've been living here for 40 years now, are very much supportive of the Republican conservative candidate of President Trump. So it's clearly... We have a very strong force here in the United States, and I've always said that we are highly respected here. We have a very good image here in the United States. Filipinos are very much appreciated by almost every other government official that I've spoken to. They've always praised the Filipino American in their communities.
Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez. Ambassador, good to see you, and take care, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Pinky.
And coming up, we speak to one of the lawmakers being linked to the Communist Party of the Philippines amid the Senate probe on alleged red tagging. Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Duterte joins us live after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.